And alrighty, so good evening and welcome to the beautiful historical marionette theater. If you can hear the sound of my voice, we'll pretend the last 5 minutes it didn't happen, and we will begin anew. It will be like a Madonna song, and wearing white to the wedding. So let me know if you can hear us in the chat room. We hit the Framostat with a big old wrench.
Yes, we did, and I am starting to hear audio.
Okay, so I will do a do-over quick here. Good evening and welcome to the beautiful historical marionette theater. We're taking a trip down memory lane to a TV sitcom of my youth where there's some role reversals and someone's bringing home the bacon and someone's cleaning up. Please take your seats. The show is about to begin. Ooh, it is December, Toppy.
Yeah, it is. Don't know how it happened, but it is December. I guess it's December. Let me just check. I'll put my finger in the air, lick it. Up. Yep, it's December.
We just had our day of giving thanks, and today, December 1st, it's a very special thing. It happens every year, Toppy. Do you know what special about December 1st in the U.S.?
Santa comes.
Well, I can tell you the whole deal. And no, I've completely forgotten what you said mere 3 minutes ago.
Well, due in part to one of the members of our cast, Mr. young Danny Pintaro played the young son of the lead in this show. Danny Pintaro came out on Oprah Winfrey's show in 2015 and revealed that he had been diagnosed as HIV positive. December 1st is World AIDS Day, and at the time, Danny Pintaro revealed that he'd been living with HIV for over a decade. So that's what's unique and special about December 1st. Also, today, it's a very sad day, but she did live to a ripe age. The first woman Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor, passed away today at the age of 93.
Wow.
So, Toppy, I see that we have a guest here in the balcony.
We have two guests.
Oh, yeah, he brought along a special friend. Please, everyone, welcome podcaster, playwright, and author, Mr. Matt Burlingame.
Yeah, hello, everybody. It is so good to be here with all of you, and especially on World AIDS Day. We pledge ourselves once again. It's the 35th year, and we are pledging ourselves once again to commit to ending the epidemic. We are no longer at a point of managing. It is time to end it, to eradicate HIV from our planet. In a good way, not like, not in a bad way, not eradicate like that, but,
right.
Yeah, find a cure and end it.
Matt, as long as we've got you,
yeah.
Give us the lowdown on PrEP, just briefly.
Okay, so PrEP is a medication that is proven to be 99% effective in preventing HIV. In fact, it's like 99.999999994. What it is it's basically an HIV medication. You take it ahead of time, and it will prevent you from getting HIV if you are having any sort of risky sex or exposure that you may not, if you're HIV negative, you're on PrEP, you're good. So, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard. Well, recently, I think it's Atlanta. I can't remember, but there's been just a surge in women getting HIV, and they were talking about pushing PrEP in for women, which had never even occurred to me. But of course, duh, why not?
PrEP is for everyone. Some of the highest rates of HIV that we see right now are disproportionately affecting the Black, Latino, the people of color communities, and women, and believe it or not, older people, because they are we're going. Don't think that once you hit like 50 or 60, you're like hanging it up. You're taking that out of the box and you're using it. But yes, it is effective for everyone across the board.
All right, we're being way too serious. I want everyone to meet my friend.
Hello, friends. How y'all doing?
Sammy Lou, a friend of Matt's. He brought her along. Anyways, we've been getting along famously behind the concession stand. Oh. I mean,
I'm sorry, but I can't call you a friend. I know what you did. I saw you with them gentlemen callers.
Oh, boy.
That's not appropriate.
Well, anyways.
I almost didn't come on this show because y'all so dirty. I saw your chat room before.
Emmy Lou is Matt's designated driver tonight.
I don't know how I have to drive, but I'll do it.
We'd given Gertie over to Gertie's lines over to Emmy Lou just because we love her voice. So whenever you're ready for that, DJ.
Oh yes, Gertie is actually down at the snack bar, stirring up some strong drinks because you don't get a designated driver for nothing. So
alcohol is a sin.
That's why we love you, Emmy Lou. All right, if you could get downstairs for us, there's this thing that Gertie does, and she tells people about what we're talking about, and do a little twirl for us too, okay?
All right, I'll try not to push her down the stairs as we go. Anyways,
here we go.
Well, hello, friends. Tonight, we're talking about a professional athlete and widow named Tony, who, together with his young daughter, who he wants to have a better life, packing in for a new chapter outside the big city. Well, he's promised a job based on his reputation, but when the door opens, he wasn't quite what they were expecting. So, Tony went over his new boss? Will young Samantha, his daughter, get along with the boss's kid, Jonathan? Will the boss's mom keep her nasty, dirty hands off of Tony? Well, grab a baseball bat and a can of pledge. It's time for a little role reversal in that 1980s hit comedy, Who's the Boss? With Tony Danza and Judith Light. Oh my goodness, just sit right back and enjoy, friends.
Oh, and here comes the band.
What do you get when you take a dash to the silver screen? A pinch of golden oldies, and a smidgen of screaming. It's time for Matinee Minutia with your hosts DJ and Toppy.
Well, it's a hot time in the old town tonight. We've got a third person in the balcony, and we've rolled out the old tube TV to watch some reruns.
Yes, indeedy. And we have Matt here, who would this may been one of your favorite shows back in the day?
Yes, definitely. It really played with role reversal, which was just something that I really loved. And the theme song, of course. I mean, you just cry every time thinking about, it's hitting me right now, man. But, yeah.
All right.
Back
Excellent.
when we didn't have cable, this was a favorite show.
All right. Well, before we start, we always like to set the stage. This show came out in 1984. And DJ, tell us what was happening in 1984.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to our guest. Matt, would you like to take a crack at what was going on in 1984?
Well, yeah. So it was a book written by George Orwell, and it basically. Oh wait, no. Sorry.
I thought it was a Eurythmics song.
Yeah. Ooh. The soundtrack to 1984 by the Eurythmics was amazing. But we're talking history, of course. Let's see. AT&T was found to be a monopoly, and its divisions were separated rightly. Michael Jackson wins 8 Grammys.
Japers.
I
That
know.
must have
What
been
do you
for-
do with that many old women? So, the USSR boycotts the Summer Olympics in LA. Oh well. Vanessa Williams becomes the first Miss America to resign after they found scandaloso photos of her naked with other women in penthouse. It's just a shame. But you know what? She's got a great career, so it's all good. Catherine D. Sullivan is the first American woman to complete a spacewalk. So cool. And then that Reagan guy, he wins a re-election.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I mean, Nancy was able to recycle the dress.
Nancy did. Don't get me started on her. She should have done some drugs.
Oh, well, let's say hello to some of the folks that were born that year. We got Kate McKinnon. She's on Saturday Night Live. She's famous for her Hillary Clinton impressions. Mandy Moore, a musician with 7 studio albums. America Ferrara. Did I say that right?
Ferrera.
Ferrara? Ferrara. She's on Ugly Betty and Superstore. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook. What do they don't call it Facebook anymore. What do they call it?
Meta.
Meta. Yeah, Meta CEO and founder. We got your Katy Perry, music artist with 6 studio albums, and Scarlett Johansson. You know her from Lost in Translation with Bill Murray, The Island with the Ewan McGregor, and the Black Widow on the Marvel movies.
Okay, so Who's the Boss was a sitcom in the 80s. And just to get your mind on what else could have been on the tube, because, there were no DVRs, and unless you knew the time and station to set your VCR, you were going to miss your show. But the major networks there, NBC, the Peacock, they had the A-Team in the 80s there. Also on NBC was The Cosby Show and other TV shows at that time who featured domestics. The housekeeper, the maid, the cook. Included programs like Give Me a Break with Nellie Carter. Different Strokes, which started off with Charlotte Rae. And then we had one of my favorites, Mr. Belvedere. And, I don't think any of them ever worked again after that one. But, reasons. And before the 80s, there were a bunch of other shows that followed this, or actually set the standard. There was Hazel, which I believe was in the 50s. And then there was Family Affair with Mr. French. And then The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. And then, of course, The Brady Bunch with Alice. And then we had Maude, and, she had a few housekeepers. And then The Jeffersons, which, of course, starred the lady who got her own spin-off on 227. Do we remember that lady's name, Matt?
Marla Gibbs, of course.
Marla Gibbs.
But you said it wrong. I don't mean to correct you. You are a host. I apologize. But you said, and then there's Maude. And then there's Maude.
Yes.
you gotta do it right, girl. It's funny when you were saying all that, every theme song was going through my head.
Right.
Something we don't have anymore.
That's true. Yeah, that's really true. We don't. It's not like then. We don't.
All right.
Well, let's talk about the series creators. The couple of blokes, Martin Cohan and Blake Hunter. And why don't we talk about Martin first? But their show became our show tonight. Who's the Boss became one of the most popular sitcoms of the 80s. The series was nominated for more than 40 awards, including 10 Primetime Emmy Award nominations, 5 Golden Globe Award nominations. The show won one of each. And this is all in spite of the series opening with very lukewarm reviews. It was Who's the Boss remained very popular in the ratings, ranking it among the top 10 in the final primetime ratings between 85 and 89, and has ever since then been continued in syndication worldwide. So Marty Cohan was an American television producer and screenwriter. He created the sitcom Who's the Boss? Cohan also created and is credited with creating Silver Spoons. That ran on NBC from 82 to 87, and it launched the career of Ricky Schroeder, or Little Ricky Schroeder. Cohan began working as a stage manager. Can you believe that? That's amazing to me. He started working as a stage manager and assistant director at ABC, and this followed right after his graduation from Stanford University. He went on to work in film documentaries, and he worked with director Mike Nichols on the 1970 film Catch-22. But his first love was TV, and he started writing for sitcoms, and he wrote for shows like All in the Family and The Odd Couple. In 1971, Cohan achieved professional recognition as an assistant director on The Mary Tyler Moore Show. He was awarded the Best Comedy Episode Award from the Writers Guild of America for his screenwriting on the show in 1972. And Cohan was also the recipient of an NAACP award for furthering interracial understanding during the 1970s. After leaving Mary Tyler Moore, Cohan directed, produced, and wrote for The Bob Newhart Show, and was co-producer on The Ted Knight Show. At the time of his death in 2010, Cohan's longtime business partner, Blake Hunter, was quoted in Variety as saying, "Marty is the brother I wish I had, the talent I stood in awe of, and the friend I can never replace." So we know much less about Blake Hunter. At least I couldn't find a hell of a lot about him. Well, he did work with Marty Cohan on creating our show tonight. He was born in 1934. He's an American television producer and writer, and he's best known for Who's the Boss? He also was the creative consultant on a British version of Who's the Boss. Did you know this? I didn't. It's called The Upper Hand. It debuted in 1990 and aired for 7 seasons on the ITV network in the United Kingdom.
Have you seen any episodes of it?
No.
I actually have the entire series.
No kidding.
And the first season is almost word for word the same script. It's just in British, and they replace like titles of the names and stuff for reference. But other than that, it's like you're just watching the same show. It's weird.
So it's
fun.
So it's like you've got secondary language on, and when it comes to the egg up nabato.
No. Although, yeah, for some people, they can't understand the British.
Oh.
Yeah.
How? I mean, it's more often that we take British shows and make them, American shows. Jeepers, I mean, that doesn't happen very often. Do we know of any other shows that?
Oh yeah, the Golden Girls was another one, another big one. There's a bunch, but those are some of the bigger ones. But yeah, Who's the Boss? About the same, especially first season. I mean, it's just like you walked into an alt universe.
Interesting. Do we have a trailer or anything like that?
Well, I pasted a link into the chat room, and through the magic of podcasting, you'll be able to actually hear it in the released version.
Okay.
But if any of you want to see or hear what I'm playing, go ahead and click that link. So this is the opening scene of the pilot episode. It sets the tone for the interactions between the characters and their roles. And, well, I'm just going to give it a go now.
Morning.
Runs about 5 minutes.
Well, if you're Angela Bauer, I'm here to help you.
I beg your pardon.
I'm Tony Maselli. I'm here about the job.
Oh, I'm sorry. There must be a mistake. This job is for a housekeeper.
That's me, Mr. Goodmop.
Well, my mother's screening everyone. Did you meet her?
Yeah, yesterday. She gave me the once-over, kicked me the tires, put me up on a rack.
Well, she should have checked under your hood because you're the wrong sex.
Oh, wait a minute. She said that wouldn't be any problem.
My mother didn't think World War II was a problem.
Oh, that must be Jonathan. Cute kid.
Yes, he is.
You must be Jonathan.
That's right. How'd you know?
Your grandmother told me. You're king of the reptiles, right?
That's me!
Hey.
Excuse me. I'm in a terrible rush. I've got to get Jonathan to school and I've got to catch a train.
Well, I could take him.
No. Jonathan, didn't I tell you to take the snake out of the living room?
Not today, you didn't.
Must you be so literal?
Yes.
Jonathan, I don't know what to do with you.
Hey, Jonathan, why don't you hustle your little buddy upstairs?
Well, what's the big deal?
Well, the big deal is it looks like a showdown between your snake and your mother. And remember, the snake doesn't pay your allowance.
Good point. Well, sorry, Wilbur. Money talks and you don't.
Thank you. Where were we? Oh, yes. You were at the door and I was about to close it.
Oh, wait. I gave up my apartment. I drove all the way up here. Your mother said I had this job except for a small formality.
What formality?
You saying yes?
No.
Can we talk?
Well, do you have any references?
No,
Do you have any experience?
none.
How many jobs have you had as a housekeeper?
One, if I get this.
Ah, Mr. Maselli, here you are, and right on time. What a reliable person. So, how are things going with you two?
In the direction of the door.
The door? Angela, what is the problem?
The problem is, Mother, you sent me a man for a housekeeper.
Oh, don't be sexist. A man can do meaningless, unproductive work just as well as a woman.
Mother, the housekeeper's room is very close to mine.
Oh, hey, don't worry about me. I keep a can of mace by my bed.
He's got a sense of humor. A regular Henny Youngman.
What a zany guy. Nevertheless, it doesn't look right or feel right for a man to be living here alone.
But he's not alone. Didn't you tell her about Samantha?
You're married?
Oh, no. Sam's my daughter. You're gonna love her. She's out in the truck. I'll go get her.
No, wait!
Well, isn't he perfect?
No.
He loves children, Angela, and children love him. I got that from the director of the Brooklyn Y. See, my instincts tell me this is the man for my grandson. And it doesn't hurt that he's a hunk.
Mother, I'm not looking for a hunk for a housekeeper.
Why not? He'll do floors. He'll lift furniture. Can I come over when he lifts?
Mother, I don't know anything about this man.
Now, Angela, I checked him out thoroughly. And it's a story you won't believe.
Oh, one of those.
I got it from his parish priest. See, he's an ex-jock, and he played in the major leagues for a while until he got hurt, and then they dumped him. The swine. And it was just about that time that his young wife died.
Mother, don't do this to me.
They were childhood sweethearts, Angela. And since that time, well, he's been working at odd jobs. You know, a young widower, trying to find himself and support his little girl.
You did it to me.
Angela, even the child psychologist said that Jonathan has to have a male role model. And this Tony Is he male or is he male? I mean, we are talking mucho macho here.
Well, here she is. This is Samantha. Oh, she got that shiner stealing third in Little League. Sam, I want you to meet some real nice people. This is Mona Robinson.
Nice to meet you.
And this is Angela Bauer.
Oh, I'm very pleased to meet you, Miss Bowers. You have a lovely home and you're so pretty.
Thank you. I'm very flattered.
That's the idea.
Okay, so for those of you who may not have listened, the crux of that was the whole setup for the show was established by Angela's mother, Mona, who had basically promised the job to Tony, who was a retired athlete and a widow. And Mona was looking for a positive role model for her son since his father stepped out of the picture. And the best line, of course, was delivered by Alyssa Milano's character, young Samantha. She paid Angela a compliment by saying she had a lovely home and she was very pretty. And then, of course, she said, "That's the idea," when she was told that was very nice and polite.
Well, we've been treated to a lot of shots of Tony Danza in the chat room by our listeners. And good Lord, he's so young in that one picture where he's squatting. And I just can't believe how young he looks. DJ, tell us about Tony Danza.
Oh, right. So Tony Danza, who played the lead character of Tony Maselli, he was born in Brooklyn to Italian immigrant parents. His mother was a bookkeeper and his father was a garbage man. So, like Tony Soprano. And at the age of 14, the family moved to Long Island, after which he attended college at Dubuque University in Iowa. Now, I know what you're thinking. New York to Iowa? What gives? Well, he had a wrestling scholarship. And, of course, when you have a chance to get out of Dodge, well, you do it when there's a free ticket. There he received his bachelor's in history, and in college he became interested in boxing. After returning to New York, he was discovered by a producer while at a gym, and was shortly thereafter offered a role in Taxi. Now, Danza has worked a lot in theater outside of television, and he had his own talk show for quite a while there. And he continues acting on and off, has been in several TV shows with guest appearances and films. More recently, he was in 2 guest appearances on formerly HBO Max's, and Just Like That. That's the Sarah Jessica Parker show that's a continuation of Sex and the City. And to date, Tony Danza has 67 acting credits.
That really amazed me. I didn't know that he basically had no time in acting, no experience, because what I see in his performances is he's such a natural. He doesn't really appear to be acting. I don't know what that's about, but he really just seems to have natural talent. He must have been a very outgoing guy, at least. But he's so good at it.
Yes. Did you get a chance to see him on and Just Like That?
I did not.
So so basically, what they were doing. So what had happened was they were doing the non-binary character got a television show and went out to Hollywood, and on the sitcom that that they were filming, Tony Danza played their father, and I basically reaffirmed him as a wonderful supporter of our community.
I haven't heard a negative thing about him. Some stars gain a reputation for being bricks or whatever, but I haven't heard a bad word ever said about Tony Danza. By all accounts, he seems like the genuine, just nice guy.
Yeah, in fact, Elton John wrote a song about him. So, I mean, that means a lot.
Okay, wait a minute. I can't tell if you're pulling my leg or not.
No, you know the song. Hold me closer, little Tony Danza.
Okay, you're right. There you go. There you go. All right. Let's talk about Judith Light. She played Angela Bauer. Oh. my impression of Tony Danza. Angela. There we go. Sorry. I had to do it. Judith Light was born in 1949. She's an American actress. She made her professional stage debut in 1970 before making her Broadway debut in the 1975 revival of A Doll's House. Her breakthrough role was in the ABC daytime soap opera One Life to Live from 77 to 83, where she played the role of Karen Wallach. For this role, she won 2 consecutive Daytime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series. Light starred as Angela Bauer from 84 to 92 on Who's the Boss? And Light played the reoccurring role of Elizabeth Donnelly in the NBC legal crime drama Law and Order Special Victims Unit 2002 to 2010. Jeepers Creepers. God, those shows have long legs. Those Law and Order shows. Moving on, Judith Light also played Claire Mead in the ABC comedy drama Ugly Betty from 2006 to 2010, for which she was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in 2007. From 2013 to 2014, she played the role of villainess Judith Brown Ryland in the TNT drama series Dallas. Woo-hoo! That was a recreation or updating of the old CBS Dallas program. In 2014, she began starring as Shelley Sufferman in the critically acclaimed Amazon Studios dark comedy series Transparent, which got tons of great press. I heard great things about Transparent, for which she received several Golden Globe, Primetime Emmy, and Critics' Choice Award nominations. She's gotten a lot of nominations for different kinds of awards. She again received Primetime Emmy and Critics' Choice Award nominations for playing Marilyn Miglin in the assassination of Gianni Versace, American Crime Story. She did that in 2018. And in 2019, she was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Light received her first nomination for a Tony Award in 2011 for her performance in the original Broadway play Lombardi. In 2012 and 2013, she won 2 consecutive Tony Awards for Best Featured Actress in a Play for her performances in Other Desert Cities, not Desert Cities. That would be silly. And The Assembled Parties. Light is a prominent LGBTQ plus and HIV/AIDS activist. And her advocacy work began way back in the early 1980s, in the early days of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. So there you go. My goodness, what a career. Very, 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 very talented lady.
Yeah, she really has been a heavy hitter for our community, and I think really stands as one of the reigning divas and allies for us. She went from being Angela to being so I absolutely adore her.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't get to mention is that in '89, she was in a rather important film on the topic of World AIDS Day. She was the mother in the Ryan White story.
Yes. Yeah.
So before we go ahead and continue on our discussion of our other cast members, we have to interject some back and forth here because we don't always have a guest, and so let's throw one out there here. So, Matt, if you had to live in Angela's house, would you rather grow up being Samantha, who has the handsome dad, or would you rather be Jonathan, whose mom would go to no lengths to, make him happy with her deep pockets?
Oh, well, that's a difficult one because there are pluses and minuses to both. I mean, frankly, Jonathan would have better chance to, since he grew up gay, to have a little fun with Tony. I'm just saying that, I don't know, Tony may be a pinch hitter, so, but, yeah, I'd rather have the mom that gave me the money. Just saying. Yeah, but I'll tell you, that little kid and his obsession with reptiles, no. First episode, the first shot of the show is a snake. I went, oh no, done.
Yeah, I don't know where they found him or where that kid came from way back then. But I again talk about a natural in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Oh.
And don't forget that I am, am one of his top fans, and he talks to me. So yeah.
Really?
He's special. Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Well, Toppy, now let's turn the tables. Who would you rather have been, considering the circumstances? Would you want to be the little girl who has the handsome dad, or the mom with deep pockets?
I've always wanted to be the little girl. Sure, deep pockets. Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, I could have had all the comic books I wanted. What about you, man? I mean, DJ?
Well, I was quite the young, and I was probably Jonathan's age when Who's the Boss came out. So there were all sorts of jealousy issues going on there. The handsome dad, the mom with the deep pockets. And this show appealed to me because while my parents were conservative in their backgrounds, we were sort of a non-traditional family because my mother was the breadwinner. So this really called out to me with the Angela character. But I will have you know that because of Mr. Tony Danza, I had perhaps an unhealthy attraction to my high school gym teacher.
Oh. One of the things that this show really did, and it didn't strike me until I was sampling a bunch of episodes of it, is just how much it really did push and touch on gender roles. And it was evident in an episode, one of the holiday episodes, I think it was the Thanksgiving episode, where Tony was in the front room, and the women were serving him, and all the women were like, no, we'll take care of everything, and you're men, you don't have to lift a finger, you just sit there and, open your pants and watch football, and we'll do all the work. And then later on, they tried to fix him up with someone, I don't know, some woman.
Right.
And so they go on a little date, and then he goes into the kitchen to try to help her cook, and she freaks out. She can't handle it. She's like, no, you can't be in the kitchen. Don't touch anything. And he realizes that he's changed, and a woman who serves him and has no purpose in life, apparently, but serving him and cooking for him and everything is not what he wants. He wants a woman who can challenge him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are a little over the halfway mark in our show here, and I'm going to share with you, for your listening enjoyment, an interview with Judith Light with the American Television Archive, and she's speaking about her experience working with the cast of Who's the Boss. In this moment, she's talking about the now late, great Katherine Helmond. Have a listen, folks.
So proud of him.
So Tony had come from Taxi, and you guys had another TV vet on your cast, Katherine Helmond.
Yeah.
Talk about working with her.
Oh, so great. I was in awe of her. First of all, I said, oh my God, we have Katherine Hellman on the show. And after we finished the pilot, she hand wrote notes of thanks to everyone.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she is the person who taught me about being gracious, about being kind, about when there were shows when she didn't always have a lot to do. She was there. It didn't matter 1,000%. I would watch her and she was committed. And then when she had lots of stuff to do, she was off the charts. She was extraordinary. But remember, this is a woman who started in repertory theater. She started at Trinity Rep. And she had a background in the theater. She had a background in all of this great body of work. And then, of course, she had been on soap. And she was remarkable. And so she was another person that I kept learning from. And we would just sit there and have the most incredible conversations. And she taught me so much, just about not misusing your talent. Also taught me a lot about comic timing as well. And then, you know, they wrote a spin-off for her, which was pretty fantastic, and it ended up not getting picked up. And I watched how she dealt with the disappointment of that with such grace. And she was just, I had this one show that we did together on Who's the Boss. It was one storyline about how Angela said, I'm going to be at home and I'm going to do Tony's job and Tony is going to go out in the world. And it was one of our funniest shows. It was called Harried Housekeeper. And what I remember about that show is the support that Katherine gave to me. I mean, it was all about dealing with my mother. She was at home, the kids were at home, I was having to do breakfast, things that Angela had no idea how to do. And it was Katherine who just was there in support of me. And there'd be some times where she would say something about the way I was doing something. She said, maybe if you just hit the spatula on this note. And Tony did that all the time too. I mean, Tony he was unabashed in his giving input. It was like, no, this will make it funnier. And invariably, it would make it funnier. So, another incredible learning experience.
Oh, and while the intermission was going there, I took a look in the annals of history, not annals. Get Emmy Lou, get your man in check there. But we were talking about the Ryan White story, and I just looked at the cast on that. Did you know a young Sarah Jessica Parker was in the Ryan White story too?
No, I
did not.
Yeah. So continuing,
like how young was she?
Oh goodness. Well, it was in '89, so.
Okay.
You know, she
wasn't a little kid. Right?
No, she might have been in her early 30s at that point. But anyway, so continuing on the discussion as we were, hearing Judith Light talk about her co-star, Miss Katherine Hellman. Matt, if you would, please tell us about the Grande Dame, the den mother of Who's the Boss.
Well, you came to the right person. I know everything about her, or at least a couple paragraphs. Katherine, obviously she played Mona Robinson, who she was born in Galveston, Texas, which explains a lot. She took a job at local theater while she was in high school, and hammering and sawing the scenery, not chewing it, just making it, cleaning bathrooms and pulling the curtain. She operated actually a summer theater in the Catskills for 3 seasons. And she also taught acting at university theater programs. She made her TV debut in 1962. I wasn't even born yet. What was it like, Poppy? Anyway.
Well, I was anyways, I was just born that year.
I was going to say, were you a golfer for Katherine Hellman?
So she made her debut in 1962, but she had to wait another 10 years before she actually got her break in 1970s when she had a guest appearance on The Bionic Woman, one of my absolute favorite shows growing up. And from 77 to 81, she had a recurring role on Soap, which was the first show to have a really good gay character on it, sort of. And then in 1984, she was cast as Mona, the mother of the housekeeper's boss on Who's the Boss. And just 3 years following the end of Who's the Boss, she would be cast in Coach with Craig T. Nelson, who's still doing stuff.
And Jerry Van Dyke.
Don't bring that name to me. Anyway, okay, so Hellman would appear in 5 more TV series and 1 film, which was Time Bandits in 81.
Oh, I love that movie.
Huge sci-fi, just wonderful. She retired from public life in 2012, and sadly, she passed away at 89 in 2019.
She was great in this shoe, and part of our research team came up with the fact that Mona was originally intended to be Angela's older sister. That was what the character was supposed to be, but the producers just couldn't find the right actress at the right time that they liked, and so they really liked Katherine Hellman, and so they just said, you know what, she's going to be Angela's mother. That's how we're going to do it.
And she's brilliant, and I love that this show, okay, so we already talked about how it said it just took gender norms and threw them out the door. And again, here's an older woman on television who should be all saintly and motherly and, basically retired from life, and she comes on as a bombshell. She's like, here are my breasts, here's my perfect hair, I'm going to go out and get every man I desire. And she should have been told about PrEP, which is 99%. And anyway, but she was absolutely brilliant. And again, here they're projecting, they're showing an older woman who isn't decrepit. She has sexuality. She has sensuality. She's amazing. So they really did a great job with her.
You know, I think that if Who's the Boss had started in the mid-90s instead of the mid-80s, Mona might have been the type of character that handed out condoms to the kids.
Most likely.
There you go. She also got some of the best lines.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things the show definitely had was good writers, and they really this wasn't okay. There's some sitcoms that are just plain stupid. Okay, they're written stupid. The characters are stupid. This show had some brains, and the writers had some brains, and the characters came off like real people. They were 3-dimensional. How do you guys feel about the kids? Because this show went on for 8 years, and the kids grew up. How do you feel they did as the kids grew up?
I think that they did a good job with them. Obviously, they were somewhat secondary characters. I mean, the romance between Tony and Angela was the core of what the show is to be about. But they did get a chance to explore everyone. I did feel that they kind of wasted opportunities with Danny Pintaro. His character was, aging. I mean, he was 15, 16, at least character-wise, on the show when it stopped. And they basically just brought him in. He said a couple funny lines and he walked out. I mean, here's a whole potential to explore, somebody that is living in a household with gender role reversals and all this other stuff, and they just, I think they didn't do much with him, or at least enough. But Alyssa was so popular. She was so popular, and they really worked that. Then they married her off to a dorky doctor who turned into a puppeteer. Whatever. But those were two very sweet episodes. If you get a chance to watch them, they were probably part of my favorites. But it was wonderful because she was so popular, she was able to transition into doing things like Charmed, you know, yeah. So they paid more attention to her character. To me, they wasted Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. DJ, what? Tell me more about. I thought it was interesting what you said about your dad being kind of the role reversal character in your family.
Oh yeah, I mean, in my family, by the time I was born, my mom was actually the main breadwinner in the family because my father had worked a factory job where he was injured, and it was decided at one point that it was more, reasonable on the household budget if they just kept one car on the road and the other parents stayed home, because whatever money they could bring home wouldn't really pay for that second car or those expenses. So I grew up in a household where, in the 80s, where we were trying to elevate women in roles like Who's the Boss. I'm getting home from school and Dad is there to let me in because Mom has gone to work at the night shift at the hospital. So once in a great while, if you got in trouble and you crossed Dad, you know that you'd done something if he said, you just wait until your mother gets home. But, I would have to wait up until after midnight if I was to do that. And Mom was just too wrung out to do anything about it. So
I grew up in a household of the women were in charge. Strong women, always strong role models. I never questioned, that anything but gender was not a thing. Everybody was equal. Everybody had an equal say. Everybody was, So for me, Who's the Boss, having her as the big powerful boss and everything was totally fine. I accepted it without any problem. I didn't understand why other people wouldn't. But now looking back at it, going, oh yeah, that was a groundbreaking show.
Yeah.
I was also jealous of Angela's house, though, because if anybody seen pictures of my house, I tell them that our art direction is Angela Lansbury meets Martha Stewart. And so that I feel like some of the influences of this show are part of that, because that's part of the trivia on this, is that because of the set design and all of the different nature and pattern elements that were in Angela's house, it became known as the Who's the Boss effect in television. So people designed their sets for that cozy feeling because of the way that Who's the Boss was designed and filmed. Because everybody knows, the well-to-do folks, they have their nice homes, and just like the pilot episode, when you want to escape the big city, you go off to the country where they've got those nice houses, and the folks commute to their jobs in the city.
Have you ever looked at a new show, started to watch a new show and looked at their set and just went, yeah, this is getting canceled? To where you could look at other sets and you're like, you know what, I like it here, I'm going to stay. I'll watch it again.
Oh, it's funny. Can you think of some shows that had sets they said canceled? I can't think of it.
Yeah, you know what? I was surprised that Lopez versus Lopez lasted a season.
Okay, yeah.
Just based on their set, but the evolution. If you watch the show, the series, it's like 12 episodes. The evolution of their set got like better and better and better every episode. But yeah, you got your budget. You got to start off with something.
So I'm going to insert another question here. So if you had to go out on a ladies' night with either Angela or Mona, who would you probably rather go with?
Probably Mona, because we'd probably go to a strip club. And that would be fine. But I'd also like to have Angela along just so that I can giggle every time she covers her eyes and goes, "Oh, mother!"
Because the Thanksgiving episode that Matt was talking about earlier, they included Angela. And of course, Angela, being the breadwinner in that household, felt more inclined to hang out with the men. And as Matt was saying, after the meal, the men sat in the living room and unbuttoned their pants. And that was one of those Angela moments with, "Oh,
no!" I'm not talking to you, Tony, until you button up your pants. But I watched all the Christmas episodes, and they had a lovely one with Mona's brother and her and his wife had died, and his wife, in order to get into heaven, had to mend a relationship between Mona and her brother that she messed up. And it was actually, I was like, oh, this is a mess. But it was a very sweet episode and very touching.
What about you, Toppy? Who would you rather go out to a ladies' night with, Angela or Mona?
Oh, I think just in terms of fun. That's right. You got to go with Mona.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the most popular fan favorite episodes was a first season episode where Mona has decided she's going to go back to school. And in her study group, her beau is among them, but she's got a dirty little secret. She's got a boyfriend, but little does Angela know. What is the secret, Matt?
I didn't see that episode.
Oh, Angela's beau is a younger man.
Oh.
And the hysterical thing about that is, in a day or two later, the young man's parents decide to come over and meet Angela. Now, when you get to see that moment, the wife is actually played by Bibi Bish, who was Carol Marcus in Star Trek II.
Oh, wow.
And what's hysterical about it is that her husband is an older man.
Folks, there you go. Leave it to DJ to find the Star Trek connection. Oh, my goodness. I got a question for y'all. It was actually the start of the very last season that the characters Tony and Angela sort of finally, well, they, acknowledged their love for each other. And usually, as sitcoms and series goes, that's sometimes the death knell of the show. You just, oh no. And actually, Tony Danza, it turns out, he really vehemently opposed the marriage. He did not like this direction at all. And he said, this contradicts the original purpose of the show. He didn't like it. Does that surprise you? Because, I think they must have known that, okay, we're at season 8. I think they knew they weren't going for a 9th season. And I think the writers rightly said, we got to tie this up. So I'm glad they did it.
At least they didn't follow the trope of most sitcoms in that era. They didn't introduce a baby.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other. Yeah.
We'll kill a show.
Or in every long-running TV series, there's some kid like that. I can't remember. How did you know? How did you know? That's what I was going to say. Oliver in
Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. Jesus. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Every time Cousin Oliver shows up, no, we're canceled.
Well, and then in later years, if you want some pop culture, they cooked up a a sibling that was in the background for the Nick at Night or TV Land reunion of the show, and they called her Phoebe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say they cooked up like one of the characters and ate him.
No, but Matt was talking about Danny Pintaro growing up on the show, and he was like 15 or older by the time the show had run its course. They did actually try to replace his character in the last season or two, but the character that they brought on ended up not being as popular, and they just wrote him out. So
why they even try?
Exactly. But I like to think, and now, of course, there are plenty of rumors out on the internet and some confirmations from folks like Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano that they're going to do a continuation or a reboot of the show. And basically just Alyssa Milano and Tony Danza have acknowledged part of that production. But I'd like to think that if they were to make a story like Who's the Boss over again, I would think they would make some different choices. Like Samantha might be a bad girl in the new version. She hangs out with the wrong crowd.
Well, for 1984, she was a bad girl.
Yeah.
She had black eyes and stuff, you know. And, you know, Danny's character, he was just artistic.
Right. Well, there was that one episode that they had him try to get involved in sports, and he was a gymnast. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is a little inappropriate. Tony Danza is holding him up on those rings, and okay.
Well, did you ever notice Tony Danza? They always had him in pants that showed off his butt. I mean, just rewatch a couple episodes. Every time he's on and he turns around, you're like, oh, butt.
Well, you know, Mona did say to Angela in the pilot episode, call me over when he's lifting furniture.
Uh-huh. But he needed to shave his butt because, you know, that was a little hairy there. First episode, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, a carpet.
I don't know. I think Angela was going through the lint trap after that cycle. So we are winding down here, and we are nearing the lobby here. So we're going to talk about other things that you might enjoy if shows like Who's the Boss are right up your alley. And we call this our snack tray. So I'll go first. Now, this isn't really very much of a stretch because this actress actually got her start on Who's the Boss. She appeared as a interior designer in a moment of an episode. Fran Drescher, who, of course, in more recent years is the president of the Screen Actors Guild.
We've heard a lot about her recently.
Yes, and I'm going to recommend the 90s spin on this story of the domestic who falls for her employer, the nanny. Fresh out of her job as a bridal consultant in her boyfriend's shop, first appears on the doorstep of the Broadway producer Maxwell Sheffield peddling cosmetics and quickly stumbled upon the opportunity to become the nanny for his three. The Nanny.
Okay.
Mr. Sheffield. There was actually, they tried to do a spin-off for 2 episodes with her and several others being a model. Yeah, just a little trivia there.
All right. Well, I'm going to recommend 8 is Enough. Just in terms of the story of a family, and although they didn't have any domestic help, it was we got to see the kids grow up a little. Although I have to say, on 8 is Enough, those children were adults. They were never children.
And they're not nice children either.
Well, they had to have conflict. Anyways, It's the sometimes comic, sometimes dramatic exploits of the Branford family. Father Tom, he's a columnist for a Sacramento. Hey, Sacramento! California newspaper. Mother Joan, the original mother, and their 8 children, Mary, David, Joni, Nancy, Elizabeth, Susan. They're all freaking adults. Maybe Tommy is a teenager. Then I guess Nicholas, didn't have a kidney problem. I guess he really was a little kid. I don't. Anyways, that
he died recently.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes, he didn't have a great life. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
After Joan's death, Tom meets teacher Abby, and she sings about cats and memories and stuff. Anyways, so that's just it's a family show, and that's what I'd recommend if you liked our show tonight. Matt?
Well, one thing about It Is Enough is that they spend their days like bright and shiny new times. So, yeah. Okay, so I would like to recommend a show that came out about the same time and also pushed the norms of what traditional roles were supposed to look like. It's Kate and Allie. And it is an American sitcom that aired on CBS starting from March 19th, 1984 to May 1989. So, starring Susan St. James Curtin as 2 divorced mothers who decide to live together in the same home and raise their 3 children. Well, 2 for one and 1 for the other. And it was another show that just said, you know what? This is more real, and just right all over everybody.
Yeah, it was another show. We did it here on our show. We covered this quite a while ago. But it was another show that had incredibly smart writers.
Yes.
And also took place in Connecticut in parts.
True, and another show where somebody had to actually give up their help because they were divorced and couldn't afford it anymore. It all ties in.
Bringing it back to 8 is Enough, Toppy, it reminds me, I saw a meme on the internet a little while ago, and, people these days are so fond of advertising what's going on in their house. They'll have the stick figure family on the back of their car with the mom and the dad and the kids and the cats. No, I swear, I have seen this meme with the 8 is Enough family, and somebody writes in the dirt of the car, "Oh my God, get off her!"
Oh, Lord.
I've seen that too, yeah.
Oh, I just saw the most hilarious bumper sticker in real life, and it said, "Nobody gives a shit about your stupid stick-figured family."
I like the one with the T-Rex that says your stick figure family is delicious.
Okay, we better wrap this up, DJ.
Yeah, so, we are getting close to the door because Gertie's Uber is coming, and, Emmy Lou, she's got to go find out where she parked, but if you would, Matt, let us know where the folks out there in listening land can find you if they want to hear your dulcet tones and maybe take a peek at something you've written.
I am at my desk at home. You can find me over at justkisstheguy.com for my books and my writing. And you can always look up my 2 podcasts, Chubb's Gone Wild and The Big Gay Sex Show, The Daddy Years.
And, if you're interested in supporting the arts, there's this little thing called Patreon. And every once in a while, you get a peek into the life of Mr. Matt.
That is true. However, somebody is not a member anymore, so we won't talk about that.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Did he really say that? Yes, he did. Oh, my God, girl. I can't believe he did that.
Well,
we can't be friends no more.
I also want to thank Matt personally because he's sort of our standby when things are shaky. Usually it's me that's shaky. And sometimes we corner Matt and say, please come and be on our show because Stoppy's having a moment. And so I want to thank you, Matt, for just always being available like that.
It is always a pleasure to be with you two.
Aww. And there's a little bit of mystery behind this place that we get together at. It was a venue of many splendored things. There was some vaudeville acts and some magic acts. Now, Matt, I want to prove a point. There's this dirty rumor going out there that our selection of the next show is rigged. I say nay. Will you do us the honor, sir? Will you put that magic coin in the slot and read us what's coming up next?
Alrighty.
Grabbing the bag. We're going to put that coin in. All right, Toppy, will you hand Matt that capsule?
Here's the capsule, Matt.
Oh, now do I bite down or do I just swallow?
Was it the red one or the blue one?
Exactly. I'll take the money, please, Alex. So, apparently, this says that on Friday, December 20th, 9 p.m. Eastern, a mid-80s drama. It is an effort to change the plight of the homeless women living on the streets. Young social worker Carrie Lang attempts to befriend a homeless woman named Florabelle. So begins Carrie's education and survival on the streets of Manhattan. A film with a message of humbleness and humility, starring the legendary Lucille Ball. A discussion with returning guest cosplay and drag artist Demanda Martini.
Oh,
although, what's the name of the movie? It's not on the ticket.
I know. The Stone Pillow. This is one of Lucille Ball's last roles on film.
Hi, this is Lucille Ball. I'm in a special episode on the movies tonight. Tune in.
And apparently doing a vicious impersonation of Brenda Vaccaro.
I actually looked forward to this when it first aired, and got to see it way back then. It was a television movie. And yeah, it was a dramatic role for Lucille Ball.
And a word of warning to folks, many other shows have attempted to imitate what we're going to carry out. This is a serious discussion. This is a time of the year where we are to be thankful for what we have, and we are to think about those who are without. And despite this being a television movie, it was important enough that Lucille Ball decided to put herself in this role. So, maybe she wasn't the best singer in her version of Auntie Mame. Who gives a rat's ass? This is...
I'm going to pretend you didn't say it so we can remain friends.
I know! You're just going to go ahead and light your Lucille Ball candle there on the mantle. But yes, it's going to be a serious discussion with the lovely Demanda Martini next time on Matinee Minutia, Friday, December 20th. So that just before the Christmas holiday.
Excellent. Well, let me say thanks to our stalwart friends in the chat room. We had Tommy Hash Browns, we had Lamont Cranston, we had Crown Haven, the Ever Mysterious, and we had The Money, who we haven't seen in quite a while. Thanks, everyone, for being here live and listening to us. It makes a big difference when we do a show like this.
All right. So a round of applause for the regulars. And Toppy, if you would, say goodnight to us in the ways of the old days of radio.
Good night, Gracie.
Thank you for listening to Matinee Minutia.
Our show streams live on the first and third Friday of the month.
Go to matineeminutia.com, click the YouTube icon for live video, enter Discord or chat.
You can find our show anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Visit our webpage at matineeminutia.com.
Tweet us on Twitter at Matinee Minutia.
Find our group on Facebook.
Have an idea for a show? Or why not let us know how we're doing?
Email us at matineeminutia@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take us off of the stream and end our recording. Stop recording.